City never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event, it's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds, a movement of momentum. Sifu Rafael, Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC Experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC Experience Mastermind, where purpose is found.
Good morning, everybody. Oh my goodness. Jose is on vacation with his family. Lancelot is in Trinidad training some athletes. And I am the lucky one. I get to be with three incredible, powerful, and beautiful women. And today's topic, wow, I got to tell you, it's going to be a doozy for sure. So before we get started, one of the things that I want to share with everybody is the topic today really brought a lot of ideas and thoughts into my mind, which is defining moments. And defining moments can be, maybe it was your first kiss. Maybe it was you got hurt somehow, or you got married, or your babies were born. All of these things come into mind when I'm thinking of defining moments, but there's also defining moments when you look in the mirror and you go, I know who you are. Ladies, go ahead and unmute. Let's go. Let's have a chat. Who's up first?
Ooh, good morning. Defining moments, they're powerful. They're things that I'll never forget. One of the defining moments for me was I was 21 years old in college and I lost my mom. And I thought in that moment, life was over. I wasn't going to make it. I wanted to quit. I wanted to give up because my world was shattered. And I think about now, I could never see myself here, being without her. And I think about the village, the people who surround you. And I think about, like that grit, resilience. And so all those things that I didn't think I could do, I'm here because I could do it. And it's a result of the preparation that my mom gave me, of just pouring into me. And it was deep down inside, but in that moment, I couldn't find it myself. It was the village that helped me to find it. So that defining moment changed my life. And I'll never be the same, but I think it gave me so many beautiful things that I can share with the world now.
Renee, I loved that so much about, the village, because my defining moment actually was about a village as well. When I was 16, my house burned down. And when you're from a town of 1,000 people, you don't have the same type of a fire department. It is all volunteer. And in the middle of a snowstorm, when everyone is snowed in, nobody can even get to the fire station to get the fire trucks to then go put out the fire at your house. And I wasn't even there. I was at a ballroom dance competition. And I actually, there is survivor's guilt in a sense, that I actually felt guilty later, because when my house burned down, I was the only one in my family that had anything. And because I had a bag of dance things because I was dancing. And this is the coolest part. It was probably one of the best lessons I had ever learned in my life. It's probably one of the best things ever because it puts in perspective the things that really matter. And when you're like, because this town completely rallied around us, whereas we would have people just bringing things to us constantly. I mean, my parents didn't have a toothbrush, and the nearest store is like over an hour away. And so it was like a big deal. And in the winter, it's just hard to travel anyways. And it was just an amazing experience to see the town just come together. And my friends, they were going through their closet. And I remember going school shopping with them, and they were picking out their very best things, their favorite things that we bought school shopping, and giving them to me so I would have clothes to wear. Like, it was the coolest thing. And there's also like at this point, there was a junior miss. It's now called Distinguished Young Women. I don't know if you know what this is, but it's a scholarship program. And I was supposed to be doing it, but everything that I had burned down. My poison appearance dress, my outfit for my talent, everything was gone. So of course I was going to drop out. And one day, golly guys, I might cry. But one day, really soon after this happened, and I decided I wasn't going to do this because, we're just trying to gather pieces now, realizing that community and family, we have everything. Holy cow, I have everything. I don't need anything else. Those are the most important things. And at the door, somebody knocked, and there's an envelope, and there was $400 cash in this envelope on the door, and it said, "Bethany, go get a dress." I didn't know this elderly woman in this town. I didn't know her, but she knew me because she'd watched me grow up, and she thought it was very important that I do this. So I went and got a dress. And I did junior miss. I got Spirit of Junior Miss and talent and like all these things. And I mean, I just pulled out a talent I just went into my grandma's closet and got some super old clothes that just looked really ragged and did the Anastasia like Journey to the Past song because I had clothes that looked like that. But it's just like you just put things together and you make it work. But I just had so much support and so much love, and it didn't matter any of the things that I had before. And at 16, those are a big deal. Like your things. And things have never defined me ever again because I've realized that it's not about the things. And if we're talking about defining moments, that was the defining moment that I realized that the most important things that you can have, and really, as you get older, you realize the only things that you can even take with you are the relationships and the memories that you make. It's not about the things. And it was a great lesson. And so that was one of my defining moments.
One of your defining moments. Are you kidding, Bethany? You've got me choked up on this side as well. What a beautiful share. Thank you so much for your vulnerability, but your wisdom in that moment. And Renee, man, you both hit it on the noggin with the village piece and then perspective, Bethany. The beauty for me in defining moments in my life, of which I have so many, is that it isn't the event itself that defines us. It's the meaning that we assign that shapes the experience that we then create from it. Because I could, as you were sharing the story, I could see the 16-year-old that didn't absorb the perspective that you did, the one that was dark and hateful and angry and lonely and all of the things that then could make other choices and approach the world in a very different perspective, as I have sat with those types of youth and individuals struggling with that moment. But wow, Bethany, what a beautiful perspective, because as we invite ourselves to explore the interpretation inside of an event, rather than assuming that there's a fixed meaning to it, right? Well, this happened, so this must be what it means. I can go back to so many events, from the birth of each of my children to the divorce 18 years later, when you've poured everything and lost everything, when the capacity of your communications and your community and your connections are so ginormous and they shrink this big and it's all gone. And you figure out how to walk again, how to talk again, and how to love again. And even though all of those moments have given me such wisdom in my life, the moment I would have to say that really does define me is not so much the birth of all of my 8 amazing children, but my birth. And not that we can necessarily remember the birth, but at the blessed age of 31, I was gifted the insight of being on the other side of that story and being shared to me by my mom 31 years into this crazy existence, that she had the moment that was given to her in a very scary moment just before my divorce, that she felt reminding me of my birth was so essential. And in the moment that she shared that with me, it was wild, because it was as if you've ever been in a dream where you get to sit in the back of the room and kind of observe how things are happening. The way she explained the story was that for me. And as she expressed, all of us children, so I'm third oldest of 10, and all of us children were born cesarean section. Not any of us were natural. And that was unheard of back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, right? And so child number 3, the doctor said, Sandy, you cannot continue having children. Your body cannot take being cut and it healing and all of the things that happen. And so she was very, very distraught. There was torment in her soul because her children were her life. And she believed spiritually that that was her calling in this world, was to have children. And so that torment in her soul when I was being born, of just the tearing of what the medical doctor said versus what her heart said versus what her creator said. And as I was born, there wasn't the typical cry, right? Which usually is scary. Oh my gosh, what's the matter with the baby? But as they lifted me up over that surgical curtain, beautiful, bright brown eyes. And this is how my mom described it, because clearly I was there, but I wasn't able to remember. Beautiful, bright brown eyes and dimples radiating from a smile that no newborn would know without being of God. And that is where I was gifted my name, Amy. I am. To know that moment when I was 31 years old, looking at an 18-year relationship with 8 beautiful children on the line, and being reminded that none of it mattered, but I mattered. And that it was so essential for me to tap back into me and to my connection with my higher power and to the gifts that I am so abundantly given by lighting up every room when I walk in, by smiling and loving souls in a way that even they can't love themselves in whatever life is throwing at them. So that perspective, defining the moment, not the moment defining us, has been such a gift for me in my life. And Mom, thank you, as she just passed last month. So there's just a lot of emotion flowing through me. And I'm so grateful for this invitation of these powerful individuals in this room, of whom I love so deeply, and am so grateful of what I've learned about myself being in their presence. Because this movement, this momentum, this New York City experience, this proximity of these leaders, if you don't have it in the space that you're in, check this out, because this space is real. We don't blow unicorns and glitter and rainbows. We talk about real things in this house, and we invite you to come into more of who you are, defining the words that come behind your I am.
I'm blown away by all of you, by the way. Every one of you shared an incredible story. I had a defining moment last night. So, but my whole life, when we look at the beauty of life, there's defining moments, but you can only notice them if you're in the moment, or you have to go back to that moment, right? So earlier, when you talked about walking again, in case you didn't know it, I had polio. I was living with my sister when I got polio. My other siblings were spread out. I'm number 10 of 12. So, and I always say my parents kept doing it until they got it right on number 10. So, so the idea that I have polio and my siblings didn't even fully know what I was going through, except the one I was living, which is my oldest sister, who I consider, she now calls me her son brother. And I consider her like my mom, my mom's sister, if you will. This woman has been there for me day in and day out. And she's the most beautiful person that has ever touched my life. And so there I am, my younger brother, actually my older brother, comes to visit. And I'm on the floor and I have to go to the bathroom. So this is a defining moment for me, because I have these crutches that I don't even know how to use them yet. These big braces on my legs, and I have to go to the bathroom, and he's the only one there. So I said, Caesar, you got to take me to the bathroom. He took his time. Boy, did I have to go. So eventually he picks me up. He's struggling. He's only 4 years older than me. I'm 3 years old, so he's 7. And he took too long. And unfortunately, I peed on him. He got so upset that he threw me on the floor. Forget the fact that I had these braces. Forget the fact that he literally just dropped me on the floor. And he got so angry. And for me, that defining moment was that I can't control other people. I can only control myself. And even at that point, I couldn't even control myself because I let go. But I realized that being alone, because I felt I was going through something by myself. No one understood what I was going through. My brothers, my sisters, no one except me. And so I felt extremely alone. And I realized that I could not quit. This is why I don't quit, ever. And I also realized that I really wasn't alone. God was with me the whole time. And on the days that I couldn't pick myself up, He did. So that was one of my many, many defining moments, that I'm not alone. God is always, always, and has always been there with me. It's like that if you ever seen this image, right? It's also a saying that there's footprints on the sand. And the quote is, God, I thought you said you would be with me. How come there's only one set of footprints? And God says, you're right. I was carrying you. And so God carries me so much, so often. When I said I had a defining moment, I had a conversation with Renee and Bethany last night. And Bethany cut the call and she goes, you got to go because you got to go to sleep. So about an hour and a half later, I went to sleep. And I woke up an hour and a half later. So I only slept for an hour and a half. And then I said, oh my God, it's only 12:30 at night. I gotta try to get back to sleep. So I kind of did. And at 2:30, I was up and I could not go back to sleep. So I went to the gym. I worked out this morning. I feel alive. I feel so vibrant. So that was my defining moment, that if I cannot stay in bed, why am I going to waste my time? If my body said, get up and go. So I went, I had an amazing workout. Yeah, there might have been 8 people at the gym, but so what, right? It was great because it was almost all by myself. And many a times I've been to the gym where there's only 1 or 2 people there. And so for me, every moment is beautiful. Every minute that I get to spend in this world and I can define me, that's a defining.
Sifu, I love the intention when you mentioned those moments, and this conversation is wow, it is so powerful for me this morning of hearing these stories of how our moments are different, but they each taught us something so powerful. If we could have chosen to go through some of the moments, we would have absolutely not chosen to do that because we couldn't see the beauty in it. We wouldn't see the growth in that. And one of the key pieces or threads for me of all of these stories is God is present in all of those pieces. And when you think about the moment, sometimes we miss the moment because we're so, well, I'll speak for myself, so focused on the next. And when you lose someone, it teaches you to be thoughtful and to cherish every moment. And I cherish those moments now because when you are with friends, you're with people that you care about, it's soaking up and sitting in their presence and really leaning into those moments. And as Bethany said, it all the material stuff, that doesn't matter. But what is it that I'm gaining from this? I want to learn as much as I can. I want to almost in a sense capture it with like a camera. You capture that moment and it's sealed in your heart, in your memory. Because I think that there are some things that are meant for us, but then there are also things that are meant for someone else. I would have never thought that my experience of losing my world would be something that I could be there for another person and another person and another person, that gift. So that gift that God gave me in the loss. And it made me think and be so more intentional about the moments. Most of my career was on to the next, and missing in plain sight, being absent in my own life. And so now having that moment where I can stop and just breathe, even sitting still for a moment. Amy, you and I talked about that, of just being able to sit in silence. And when you give yourself permission to do that, oh my goodness, just be ready for what's going to unfold.
I love being in silence. When we think about, we lose ourselves sometimes. Have you ever driven somewhere and you forgot how you got there? You forgot all the roads you passed. So I used to do that many, many, many years ago, but I don't do it anymore. So I am extremely living in the moment because I am paying attention to everything. When I'm driving, I'm looking, I'm seeing there's this car, there's that, what happened in this store, what is going on. Because in the past, I used to just be focused on my reaching my destination and not on the journey. And when I realized that the journey is what makes the destination so much worth it, that I pay attention to everything. I see things that people like, I didn't know that was there. I didn't know this happened. Da, 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 da. And because of that, God has pointed me to so many beautiful things, including finding money in the most weirdest places. And somebody says, my God, you find money all the time. I said, why? Because I'm present. I'm walking, I'm doing things. Here's another quick, this one, I'll make this one quick. I was at an event in Dallas, and everybody at the event said, oh, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there. I said, I'm by myself. I'm just going to go to my hotel room. I'm going to gather all the information I learned today, and I'm going to put it all together. I said, oh, I think it's time for dinner. I really don't know anybody here, so I'm just going to go. Let me see what's around. Oh, Indian. Oh, man, I love Indian. My fiance does not like Indian food, so I'm like, I can get to eat Indian food. I'm excited. I walked to this restaurant. It's maybe like 8-minute walk, and I love walking. So I get there, and it's in a shopping center, and there's people around, and in front of the place, there's this money all over the floor. And I look, and I'm like, is there a hidden camera somewhere? Because I'm going to pick up the money, and somebody's going to go, we got him. And so I'm looking, nothing, right? So I pick up all this money, and it was money spread here, there. And so I pick it all up, and I'm still looking, nothing, right? I enter the restaurant. I take the money. I don't put it in my pocket. I get my table for one. I put the money on the edge of the table. I order my food. And I'm like, if somebody walks through the door and they're like, oh my God, I lost all my money. I'm like, here you go. I found it. That never happened. So I had the most incredible meal. Great waiter. And even at the end, I'm like, oh, nobody's walking in. So I kept $1. I ate a really lavish meal. I gave the waiter the balance of that. He had an incredible tip. I kept $1. And the reason I kept $1 is because I still had a win. I didn't have to keep all of it. And that defining moment was that if you pay attention, you will find things that no one else did. Because there were people around that walked in front of the money, but they were looking out, looking here, looking there. Nobody fully paid attention to what was in front of them. And so for me, I find money in all the I'll get out of my car and like, oh, look, a couple of bucks. Oh, wait, unroll it. Oh, it's 40, 50 bucks. Look at that. And I look around. If nobody's here, I don't know which car it came from. So, and I found a couple of $100 that way as well. So no, I do not chase armored trucks, nothing like that. But you never know, right? So every moment that we can pay attention to what's going on around us, we can have a defining moment. We can help somebody. We can help somebody. Maybe they're down on their luck. Maybe somebody's needs directions. Maybe somebody needs a hand, whatever it is. But we won't see that if we're not in the moment.
I love that so much. And the idea that, you miss it if you're not paying attention, and there's so many things that we miss all the time. And the support and the signs are there, but so many times we're not looking. So what you said, Sifu, is amazing. I learned this lesson, and I guess this is another defining moment since we're on the topic, but the entire reason I switched my entire career, sold my school, moved into a leadership development space is because my son got sick. I don't know how many of you actually know that, but he got very sick. And when he got sick, he got, he's running sub 5-minute miles for cross country, super fast runner, and got sick for 3 days with a high fever, and then all of a sudden was not able to walk. And it was really difficult. Golly, this is just an emotional day, guys. It's fine. Anyways, so I wasn't able to walk, and we had to do a lot of research and a lot of doctor's appointments and a lot of different things. And I needed to be home, and I needed to be there with him. And he would sleep for 20 hours a day and not have enough energy to move. And his days would often look like, he'd wake up and he'd have enough energy to stand, and then he'd get intense tremors. And then after the tremors, he wasn't walking anymore. And it just went like this every day. And I learned more lessons from this young boy, I guess he's not so young anymore, than anyone. Because there was a time when I was sitting on his bed, and I would make it a point to make sure I'm spending as much time as possible with him, because he's lonely and he can't be anywhere. And when you are a teenager, that's a very difficult thing, because you need people. And mom is not so cool. Just, I think I'm cool, but sometimes my teenagers beg to differ. But I would sit there, and he asked me a question one day, and he said, "Mom, if you only had 4 hours a day, what would you do? What would you do?" And I didn't know how to answer that question, because I've never just thought I only had 4 hours a day. But that was the life he was living. He had 4 hours a day that he could be awake and that he could do things and move around. And I thought about this for a long time. And he told me, he goes, "I already know, Mom. I've thought about this and I know." He goes, "I want to make sure that I'm spending it with God and with my family, because those are the most important things." That kid is amazing. Amazing. And he would just spend his time just actively with every single person in the family. He would play games with them. He would color with them. Whatever type of energy he had. And if he used up his energy to spend time with them, then he wouldn't have energy to eat, and we'd have to help him or carry him to bed. But he chose to spend time building a relationship. It's a really beautiful thing. But it is the way that we perceive things. It's the way that we prioritize things that define these moments. Today, he's able to walk. It's been a long road. It's been a long road, but he's able to walk. And it's very much due to the nutrients in the food that he eats and figuring it out. It's been a road. Yeah. But it's amazing. And he is touching so many people's lives because of his defining moments. And each one of our defining moments, when we share them and when we see them and when we can support with them, it changes. It changes everything, because that's how people learn, and that's how people support each other, is by defining moments that they can share and then lift others up. So
That's, I think we're all going to leave here better for listening to all these incredible stories. And when you think about the defining moments. Coach Theo said here, meeting the four amazing individuals on this panel. And we're defining moment was when I met him as well. And here's the cool thing. We're all going to be able to chill together in Atlanta. Let me share this video with everybody. Give me a quick sec. I'm going to share this video because I think that it's so important to understand that when we can be with another person and share a moment, it really changes the dynamic of not one, but both people, 3 or 4, or how many people. So take a look.
We are here in Tampa, Florida for the NYC Mastermind Experience. It was an absolutely epic weekend.
This was our 5th one, the 6th one.
Coming up in hot Atlanta, that's right, Atlanta, Georgia, and our host, the great T.O. Clay.
Hey, you don't want to miss it. Come September, the new Hollywood of the South, ATL, baby. Make sure from NY to Tampa to Atlanta, Georgia. Can't wait to see you there. Peace.
Light up the city, every rise tonight. Every speaker bringing down in that fire, that light. No funny, no fear, just truth on the mic. It's the NYC life, we unite, light up.
I got to tell you, we had an incredible time. And Renee was there, and you saw her speaking to people. Her passion is so strong. I love it. And when you think about the next event, we always elevate. And the next one is called Ascend. So if you're ascending, or if you want to learn how to ascend, you need to join us in Atlanta. It's September 25th through 27th. There's one more video I want to share with everybody. And this is something that both the 4 of us, Coach Theo, Renee, and Bethany, and myself are doing. So take a peek.
The next level is waiting. Will you climb? We climb. Together. We grow. Together. We lead. Together. Yeah, this is unified leadership. Purpose, character, conviction, wisdom, connection, impact. Together we become more. Bring your vision. Bring your fire. One community. One heartbeat. One mission. Keep climbing. Keep growing. Unified Leadership Academy. Unified Leadership Academy. Unified Leadership Academy. Stronger together.
One community, one future.
Join us
on School soul.
Where leaders connect, where true leaders grow, where leadership never stands still.
Keep climbing, climb higher.
Oh yeah, Coach Theo's right. That is fire. If you have not ever been to school, and it's not the kind of school you're thinking of. It's not a physical building. It's a virtual space. It's SKOOL. And there's so many great and beautiful communities in there. But the reason we decided to create this one is because we're bringing 4 powerhouses in unity called Unified Leadership to bring leadership in a different venue, a different idea of what leadership truly is. Because there's a lot of courses out there in leadership. Some of them are great. Some of them should go back to school. Some of them should come and join our school. So if you're looking to become a leader, or if you're already a leader, and it doesn't matter if you've been a leader for a year, 10 years, or 20 or 30 years, you can still come and experience something totally.
I think that is so amazing, Sifu, as you open up these doors where I said the invitation is here. You know, so many times we are in life, and there is an amazing book that transformed my life. Small, 36 pages, called U Squared by Price Pritchett. And that book opens with a beautiful story about a fly that's sitting on a windowsill, and he's in this one room cabin in beautiful nature encircling him, and this fly just keeps hitting this window because he sees the other side and feels that that's the only way out is through that window, not realizing that there's a door open, feet behind him, that could be the answer to his freedom. And it's either continue hitting that window that is only going to lead to your death, or to turn around and realize the perspective that you've got another solution right behind you and it's not that far away. And Bethany, that beautiful story that you shared about your son, when we realize what those opportunities are, right? They all exist around us, but only sometimes until we're stopped in our tracks do we have no other choice but to pay attention. But also realizing, Sifu, in all of these wonderful opportunities that money's been presented to you, and Renee slowing down enough to pay attention to them, how many beautiful defining moments are you missing because you're so focused on the freedom on the other side of that window that might actually hurt you, otherwise limiting you from a freedom, a growth, an expansion, and understanding. Curiosity changes all of that, because the defining moments in my life that began with a question, like that powerful question that your son gave you, Bethany, and not necessarily the answer being born, right? That's the answer. There was no question proposed to me at my birth. Well, not in that moment, but it's curiosity that opens that door to possibilities. I didn't know what unified leaders looked like until I stepped in, and man, am I elated to be present in this space. I had no idea. I know lots of people in New York City, but I had no idea the stuff that was happening in between and underneath and on the tops of buildings by some of my favorite people until I slowed down and opened my eyes. I had absolutely no idea that the life as a solopreneur, that I have been driven. I knew my goals. I know my vision. I know my purpose. I know all of these things. But it was paying attention to what I didn't know that opened the door to the opportunities. Sometimes it's not about the knowing. It's about honoring and being humble enough that we don't know everything, because we can't learn when we're speaking. We can only learn when we're listening, whether with our ears, with our mind, or with our heart. Only when we open up something new, something different, and something unfamiliar do we really learn and understand the expansion waiting for us. And I am so grateful for all of those opportunities in life that said, Amy, you're not defined by this moment. There's something so much more waiting for you. And so in these defining moments, are they meant to be the short bridge to the next step? Or are they meant to be part of your forever, which holds so many other defining moments within them? Because I'm going to be in Atlanta. I'll tell you that right now. As a matter of fact, I have an amazing trip that I have not gifted myself in a long time with another young lady in this amazing platform that she lives down here in Florida with me. And we're taking a road trip, girls on the road together, to get up to Atlanta. So excited to be present in that space. So blessed to be encircled by the powerful proximity of the school community, which is wide open to anyone that so chooses to be a little more curious to discover the defining moments waiting for you.
I got to say thank you for that. And I love the passion that you're bringing in. And I know Atlanta's just gotten hotter because of so many incredible people who are going to be not only on stage, but in the masterminds and everything else that we're doing in Atlanta. And people say, wait a minute, it's New York City. Why are you saying Atlanta? Because we're taking the New York City experience to Atlanta. Here's the thing that we would love to eventually have you be part of, Amy. We're going to do webinars. We're going to do master classes in the school community, and we'd love for you to participate in those. I think that Bethany had a little bit of trouble with her internet or something like that, and I'm sure she'll be jumping back on in a minute. But think about the possibilities that are always presented to us if we are willing to step through that door. When you talked about the fly in the window, here's the crazy thing. I'm the one that if I see a bug in my house or my business, I try to scoop it up and take it outside. I don't kill it, right? And a lot of times somehow there's a fly in my house. Oh my God. And so instead of me trying to I don't have a swatter. I don't take a newspaper or a book or anything. I do is when it goes by the window, I open the window and there's a screen. So I close the window, I open the screen, and hopefully it can go out. So yeah, so sometimes we have to understand that maybe that is the only, somehow it got in. It didn't come through the window because the window was closed. But somehow it came through the door and says, oh, this is my only way out. And so therefore I say, you know what? Maybe it's the only way out for you now, and I'm gonna open that window for you. So when somebody opens a window, you have a choice. When somebody opens a door, you have a choice. Do you stay where you are, or do you step through it? Welcome back, Bethany.
Seafood, when you say when someone presents you with the window or the door, it's opportunity. And you can only walk through it if you see the open window and you see the open door. When you're in the busyness and you're trying to force things, you miss those opportunities. And I think about my space of how many windows, how many doors did I miss when I was trying to force and looking and doing all of those things. But when you sit in intentional presence in that silence, you find it. It was difficult for me, I would say, even last 2 years to sit quietly for 5 minutes. That was like torture. And now I crave those moments where I just get to sit in silence. When I sit in silence, I can see those opportunities that I miss. I can see the gifts and the openness of, I'm curious, what is my purpose today? What is my mission today? Who am I going to touch today? And so looking at opportunities differently. So I'm looking for those doors and those windows now. And then not just for myself, but how can I provide that window or that door for another person?
I love that, Renee, because it is about the observation and seeing it. For a long time, I would do a gratitude journal. And I still do a gratitude journal, but I do things a little bit differently now, where I write down the miracles. So I try to look for miracles. Because I feel like when we're looking for miracles, it kind of gives it a different perspective too, because they're happening all the time. They're everywhere. And when we look at miracles, we see the doors that have been opened. It's not just the surface gratitude of, I am so grateful for this moment, but I'm so grateful for the connection I have to each one of you. That is a miracle. We are all over the country. What a miracle that is. I am so, it's so much deeper. You see the doors that are open when you're looking at miracles. Because I feel like those open doors are the miracles.
I think that's essential, Bethany. Oh my heavens. When you talk about seeing the open doors, so many times it's also trusting yourself enough and the divine process, the preparation that's required for us to get to that point. Because life doesn't happen to us, life happens through us. And when we trust that the universe is in our favor, that it is here handing us all of this glory, that there's so much abundance around us, trusting that fact allows us to really embrace that the defining moment isn't always a moment that might change your life. Sometimes it's simply a moment that changes how you see, feel, and experience your life. Because this isn't meant to be hard. And most times, those of us that feel that there's a lot of hard in the world is because we've separated from our truth inside of us. We've separated and we've decided to put a meaning on something that wasn't at all intended in that way. And it's up to us to revise and change the meaning of the experience. And many times when we look back in life and we're like, well, my life happened this way because of this event, right? Well, I had nothing, no control over it. That changed me. It was because of that moment. But what if you can't change the picture, but you can change the frame? The meaning that you give to it. You can revise at any time. That's entirely up to you. And nobody else, like Sifu said at the very beginning, nobody else could change it for him. That was simply what was given to him. But what is the blessing? So if you think of the word blessing, spell it out on your paper in front of you. And look, take the B off and take the G off. And what does that say? Lesson. What's the lesson inside the blessing, whether it's a hard blessing or a gracious blessing? What is the lesson inside of that beautiful gift, inside of that magnificent moment? Because we can spend our lives either watching things happen or we can experience it, like we've shared with you today. But also not necessarily needing to define a moment, but being willing to receive all that is due to you, all that is waiting for you to simply open your eyes, open your heart, open your arms to receive them, because they're all waiting for you. There is so much goodness that evolves from this human experience when we're willing to give it the opportunity to.
I got to say, I'm enjoying this conversation very much. And I know that because we have an echo happening, we will have to mute, unmute, unmute. So we're all living in the moment, right? We're like, where's my button? So it's very interesting, right? But Bethany, you talked that a lot of people are looking for a miracle, yet they don't look in the mirror to see the real miracle. Right? Because you're a miracle and God made you in his image. And that's a miracle right there. And when we don't look at the blessing of us, how can we see a blessing outside of us? Right? So think about the concept of learning. That's a blessing. The capacity to engage with another human being. That's a blessing. Every time that we are able to understand our own existence, like Bethany, like your son did, when he asked you that really terrifying question, and it made you think in such a deep way, because a lot of us go through our day without realizing that every second counts. And your son understood that every second for him counted. If you've ever watched that show, and it started really good and then it kind of tanked, The Bear, right? It's a cooking show. And it was so good. And it was the kid Flip from I forget that Shameless, from the show Shameless, right? Flip, he was the main chef and everything, and one of the things that they said that they had over um, by the clock, it said every second counts, because when they were prepping food, when they were doing things in order to satisfy the customers, every second counts. And when you can live your life like that, you won't take life for granted. And you talked about a gratitude journal. I have a gratitude I go through every morning and every night. I pray for all my family, anybody I know who's going through something. And the one thing that I always thank God is for the gifts He's given me. And then I ask Him if I can please allow me to share those gifts with others, because they were not meant just for me. They were meant for me to share. And sharing is caring, right? Isn't that the old saying? So think about what each one of you is contributing to the world. And the more we can contribute, the better the world will be. If everybody stopped thinking about themselves and thought about each other, we would live in a much better world. So this is why I love training youngsters. I know, Bethany, you do as well. And they're our future. And so many times I will have parents in front of me and I'm training the kids, and I stop and I say, parents, look at your kids. Treat them well. Teach them well, because they are our future. Your son and daughter, I am so lucky you brought them to me, because I'm not just teaching them nothing. I'm teaching them something they can take for the rest of their lives and hopefully make our world a better place. So every day, if we can share an idea, a concept, knowledge that we have with another human being, if you don't, you're hurting the world. Stop hurting the world. Share, share, share.
I love that. One of my favorite just thought processing ideas, that book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think everyone needs to read that like every 2 years, because those books that are just like super good and then we forget about them. This concept has stayed with me forever, and probably because it's also a Montessori concept that I'm very involved in. But it's looking at everything inside out. Because if you look at it, understanding your value first, and then having it be intrinsic, instead of having the world happen to you, it changes things. And I love the way that it's described. It's been a while since I read that book, so I might botch this, but maybe it's my 2 years are up and I need to read it again. But it is very much so, that was one of the very first, habit, is making sure that it is, you're looking at it from here, from you. You're looking at it from you out. How are you reacting and responding to the world? And that's very much so things that I teach as well, because it all has to be towards your values. And I feel like when we are lost and we don't have that, and we don't know where to go, and we're floating and we're not seeing the doors, and we're not seeing the moments, and we're not seeing these things, that's when we have to actually take that step back and look. Why am I not seeing these things? Why am I not seeing the lesson and the blessing? Why am I not seeing, the miracles? Why am I not seeing this, but everyone can talk about it? Why? That is when you have to take a step back. And you have to realize, am I looking at the world from inside out, or am I letting the world happen to me? And when we let the world happen to us, it changes the way that we perceive it, because we're not doing things in alignment to who we are. We're letting the world happen, and it's hard to see, but that's why this is happening. This is why we're bringing leaders together right here, because this is the message. because you cannot be a leader unless you can lead yourself first.
I have to say that I know, Amy, you have to go because you have a client you have to run to. So, but my gosh, thank you for being with us today. Really, really appreciate you. So, ladies, when we consider what we learned today about each other, the way we show up every day, the defining moments have defined who we are. But also it's the actions we take when we have those moments, right? Because if you think about the defining moments, they only become defining when you take action on them or you are able to learn from them. Because growth only happens when we pay attention. In my eyes, anyway. Thoughts?
Sifu, I think that you're spot on. This conversation today was so powerful for me. And I think one of the reasons why is because I came with intention. I came with expectation because I knew that if I allowed myself to be present, that I was going to receive so much more than I was able to share. And I think when we show up that way, kind of that cycle of sharing our light and our goodness with the world. And when you do, and when you're vulnerable and you open yourself up to that, you receive so much more. And so it's that gift. And I'm grateful for it. I learned so much about Bethany, even more, and you, and Amy, of just those giving pieces and that energizing moments. And I think that we get what we need in the moments that we need them. And so with defining moments, I say to everybody who is listening now or watching it later is don't miss the moment. Be present in every situation, because when you open yourself up to learning and receiving and giving, you can't lose.
I love that. That's so true, Renee. Opening yourself up right there. Being willing to learn, willing to accept. And I think that's the other key thing is these miracles and lessons, and they are happening. But are you accepting them, and are you willing to see them? It's so beautiful.
Incredible show today. Thank you, ladies, for stepping in and helping me have an incredible start to my day. Actually, I already started it earlier, but you just made it that much more fulfilling. So thank you so much for that. Do us a favor. If you are watching or if you watch it later on, share it with somebody who may have to understand that they are worthy, that they may have defining moments that, or maybe they're going through a moment at the moment into how it will define them. And so share this episode with somebody who needs to hear the messages that were delivered today, because they were really powerful and very eye-opening, if you will. So thank you, ladies. Really appreciate you. And join us next week. I think Jose and Lancelot may be back. And we look forward to having everybody back. And you ladies, you know you're always welcome on the New York City Experience Live. So thank you very much for being here with us today. God bless you both.
Everyone who's in the room is all about giving. Everyone who show up here and who are in the room are just givers, and they just want everyone to become better and better entrepreneurs, better founders, better coaches, better givers. You are going to meet the best of the best in this room, and it's an intimate experience, right? Sometimes you go to events where there are hundreds or thousands of people, and here in the New York City Mastermind, it's an intimate experience, so you really get to know them. You get to know them as people and not as just a number that's out there. So I highly recommend New York City Mastermind to anyone.